idea. I will find him!
You're a breed. Men are brave.
Not about deserve. It's about what you believe.
Could've just peed on him.
Like brunch. Like, what is brunch?
The story of the Defiance is well known.
What, we some kind of suicide squad?
Heroes don't kill people.
Well, I do.
Martha!
Hello everyone and welcome back to Enter the SnyderVerse, where we are going through every movie in the DCEU, and oh boy, it's been a real dry spell. Oh my god. I am Nathan from the past.
I'm Michael Keaton.
See, I thought you were going to do Nathan from the future, but you know.
Oh, that would work. Yeah, that would work. I don't think I'm as annoying as Barry Allen. You caught me off guard, didn't you?
Well, I'm Nathan from the past, so I'm the annoying one, I guess.
You're the annoying Nathan.
It's really a matter of scales. We're doing Flash, by the way. We're doing the Flash.
Yeah, welcome everyone. I'm Nathan. I'm just Nathan from the present.
Yeah.
By the time you watch it, we're all Nathan from the past, really.
Nathan is a state of mind.
Yes, Nathan is a state of mind, yeah. More of an idea.
Oh, boy. Okay.
You know what's not an idea, Kyle?
What?
This commercialised garbage.
I'm looking at our list of previous movies. We've done DC League of Super Pets, then Black Adam, then Shazam Fury of the Gods, now this. This might be our roughest spell so far, at least for me. You liked some of these movies, I guess, but...
Yeah, I kind of think they're all just okay. And by the way, I didn't hate this either.
Oh, okay.
It's not great. I probably like Black Adam and Shazam 2 more.
I think you're far too forgiving of these movies.
Do you? I just kind of like, maybe it's the hardcore Snyder fan in me. But I'm like, oh, he's going away, and there's Ben Affleck as Batman one more time, even though he said it was done 10 years ago. There's Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman again. You know, There's bye everyone. There's Michael Shannon back as Zod. We've never left Man of Steel. I appreciate that all these people show up. You know, I know there's a paycheck involved, right?
Well, maybe that's the key difference there, because as we established all the way at the beginning, I don't like any of the Snyder films, so seeing them again means nothing to me. Seeing Michael Shannon from Man of Steel, the movie, which you'll remember, I didn't like, is like, whatever.
You're like, oh look, he's back again.
He's back and he cares about 70% less than he did in Man of Steel.
Yeah, so like Michael Shannon spoke about how he really enjoys playing Zod in Man of Steel. He felt like he was just a good character that he could dig his teeth into as an actor and get something out of. And this, Michael Shannon felt that there was nothing, and he was just showing up to go, "Rah!" You know, I am Zod.
It's pretty accurate.
I mean, he's not wrong. There are some aspects of it that I think we can jump into when we get to the third act later, but I think that maybe he's underselling his appearance in the film.
Oh, really? I think he was overselling it.
I mean, I think like there's not much depth to the character, but I'm attributing all the weight from Man of Steel onto the motivations in this movie because it's the same story, and the film kind of becomes a Supergirl movie for 2 minutes.
Yeah,
like, I want to see that film. I want to watch that movie more than I want to watch.
Unfortunately, that's not what we're watching, though. We're watching The Flash.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think we're going to get too much into the Ezra Miller stuff. They're a weirdo who's done some crimes. We're not going to dwell on it.
Yeah, Ezra Miller has been through a hell of a time when they were making The Flash, and Warner Brothers went big into the Ezra Miller business, putting them in Fantastic Beasts. And then having them be one of the lead superheroes of their DC extended universe.
Yeah, Twitter was quite mad when this movie came out, I remember.
Yeah, that was a big implosion.
I mean, you could apply that to any time ever. Twitter was mad, but...
Twitter was mad. Signed every date. Yeah, but there isn't much we could say about the Ezra Miller stuff. It's kind of been done to dust. It's an old chat. We're looking at this film not as a contemporary piece, but as an item that came out, you know?
Yeah.
So, Kyle.
In saying that, I will say, you've always been pretty good at separating art from artist. This is a trait you have that I've always been somewhat jealous of. Yes. I struggled with that. I will say, and could that have biased my thoughts on the movie? Maybe. It's possible. So,
well,
I just throw that in there.
I don't think you mentioned any of that in your notes, though, did you? You didn't mention any, like, third-party stigma.
No, well, I didn't need to, but that doesn't mean there wasn't any sort of subconscious bias going on there.
Right, okay, that's fair enough. It could influence you because it's in the back of your mind. Uh-huh. Yeah, okay, I didn't have that problem watching this. I completely was able to separate this item from the context in which it released in. But why don't we jump into the start of this film, Kyle? There's no DCEU logo.
No, that's strange, isn't it?
Very strange, because this was... I mean, James Gunn had been announced as taking over by the time Shazam came out, but he basically done no promo for it.
He said he liked it, right? And everyone was like, sure you did, James Gunn.
Yeah. But James Gunn put a lot of marketing into The Flash. They really tried to make The Flash work.
Well, they had to, because obviously this movie cost a crap ton of money.
Yes, but it cost a lot. You couldn't tell that by watching it on screen, though.
I think you can. I think you can tell that a lot of money went into it, and somehow not enough money went into it.
Yeah, the money went into the wrong areas. But this was the film that James Gunn really went up to bat for, even though he technically had nothing to do with its production, though he did have post-production input. For instance, it was, it's been discussed prior that Henry Cavill did in fact film a bit for this cut, right? All James Gunn's decision, I believe. I think James Gunn had a heavy directive to thinking that Henry Cavill was a big contentious part of DCEU in its later life.
Not incorrect.
Not incorrect. And he was like, we're not setting expectations for Henry Cavill returning here. We're going to give him a bad CGI Chronoball lookalike, and that's it. We're going to get
we see the back
Superman
of him fighting a volcano as well.
Fighting a volcano. Yeah. I think that might have been the thing that Henry Cavill had actually filmed. Like, I think there's footage of that. Not that we've ever seen it. Not that I think we ever will. But I think that's what he filmed for. But yeah, so... And then Ray Fisher, obviously no appearance, because at that point he was deep in his feud with Warner Brothers and Walter Hamada.
Yep. So
we only get the characters and actors who toe the company line, don't we, Kyle?
Is Ben Affleck a company man? I guess so.
He's a good old company boy. He's a strong creative force. He's a good director and a good writer. But why did he do this, Kyle?
Money.
I think he's doing the studio business a favour because he's in Warner Brothers business. Warner Brothers working a lot. Obviously they paid him. There is no world in which he wasn't paid. But I think Ben Affleck is rich enough and established enough as a personality to just go, why would I do this? No, I'm not doing this. Whereas I think that they unloaded holy hell amounts of money on Harrison Ford to do The Rise of Skywalker and just The Force Awakens again. I don't think that's what they've done with Ben Affleck here.
I bet 90% of the pay for the new Captain America movie is going into Harrison Ford's pocket. You look at the actors building that movie, like what's his name?
Even
who plays
Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie. He's getting like 5% compared to what Harrison Ford is getting.
Harrison Ford's their big. You better be paying me the kitchen sink to show up in this. You want me to play who? William Hurt? I like William Hurt. Well, he's dead now. Yeah, okay.
I'm not growing a fucking mustache.
Yeah. You can CGI my face onto a monster. I'm not growing a mustache. But yeah, so I think that Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot are good company people. And this film starts with Ezra Miller in Central City getting his food order, Kyle, doesn't it?
Getting an absolutely vile sandwich.
A vile. Did you take a note of the order? I didn't.
I didn't.
There's raisins on it.
It was like raisins and cheese and banana and all sorts of crap. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked disgusting.
Definitely. And the nice little sandwich maker man who was up for just having a chat. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I don't have time. I'm late. I'm so late.
Because a thing that they established in this movie but never really matters is that he burns calories when he runs, and he has a little health bar on his wrist. that shows him how much calories he has left.
For what it's worth, I'm like fine with that. It feels like something that just makes sense. I don't actually think I need to think too deep into it. And they established it in Justice League where he says he's like a black hole of snacks, you know, he has to keep eating and all that.
Yeah. And it's fine. It's just... It never really matters, though, to the story.
No, they use it for bits. They use it for
bits, but there's never a point where he's like, "Oh, I'm starving to death here. I can't do the thing." It's always
I can't go back in time, not because I've lost my powers. It just happens in the movie. It's because I haven't eaten, you know?
Yeah, I mean, losing his powers also doesn't really matter to the plot, but nothing matters to the plot. The plot is nothing, so... I don't hate this first scene and concept.
Well, he gets a call from Alfred, doesn't he?
Yes, he gets a call from good old Jeremy Irons, Alfred.
Good old company man, Jeremy Irons. see if you're a big established name, you're doing a bit piece in this film, you're a company man, you're doing a friend a favour. That's my line.
Okay.
Or you've got a contractual obligation to do one more film, and they're like, well, we're going to put you all on this.
I think that's likely too, because he was probably contracted for another Batman appearance, right?
Probably, which would have been the Batman, but then ended up not being the Ben Affleck project. Yeah, that would make sense. Whereas Ben Affleck definitely wasn't contractually obligated for this. That's the confusion part, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he has a new suit. What do we think of the suit?
Awful.
Oh, genuinely a horrific choice.
It reminds me of, you remember the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern suit?
Yes.
Where it's just like this full CGI, like, abomination. That's what it looks like.
Cartoon.
It's just, it never looks real. It never looks like a thing someone is actually able to put on and wear. It just looks like glossy CGI nothing.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. And people apparently don't like the other one that he had in Justice League. I like that one. It looks like a Faraday cage shield.
It's better than this one. I still don't love that design either.
Yeah, that's fair. But I think there was no need to update it. They just did, because it's his own movie and we have a massive budget, and let's give the hero a new suit.
Is he a friend of Atom Smasher? Where did he get the magic shrinking suit that fits in a ring?
Yeah, exactly, right? They never establish how he done that. Is it Wayne Tech, Kyle? The film was talking about Wayne Tech, but not in that case. So he's got to run to Gotham City, but he's already late for work. The
running. You said this ages ago that it's supposed to look like ice skating. He just looks like a dumbass when he's doing this like little slidey run thing.
It's competitive ice skating. That's what he establishes it as in Justice League.
It just looks so silly. And the effects when he runs to Gotham are just terrible.
I really don't mind it, but I hate the effects. When I say I don't mind it, I mean I don't mind the running, but I think the visualization of him transporting himself across the country looks horrific.
To Glasgow, I mean Gotham. Sorry.
Glasgotham,
yeah.
Glasgotham. I mean, yeah,
I'm sure the majority of people are American and won't notice this, but to us who were born in Glasgow, it's so obvious that Gotham is just Glasgow.
It looks like flat B-roll from behind the scenes filming.
It really does.
They've just set up the camera right. Oh, by the way, I saw this being filmed.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's next to Queen Street Station on George Square, which is also used for if you watch World War Z when they're in Pennsylvania, right as the outbreak happens and they're running around, and just as the zombies are attacking, right at the start of the movie, there's a big crane shot of them running through that exact same square that they use in this film. It's very clear. It's quite a distinct piece of city geography. But yeah, they didn't look like they'd colour grade. They probably have. Like, these film studios obviously put a lot of money into stuff.
They definitely changed the skyline in the background because
when you're going down big streets, sort of in the distance, but there's a lot of it that's just raw buildings. There is one shot, because obviously Glasgow's quite a hilly city as well, despite being in a grid format. It's like a grid on a hill. Yeah.
And it has a bunch of buildings that are older than America in it, so...
Yes, but that's, Gotham is supposed to look gothic,
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser famously said for Batgirl that Glasgow is Gotham. Everything looks so decrepit and decaying. And he says it's gorgeous. And I was like, that's a backhanded compliment there, Brendan Fraser. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the whole thing where, there's all, I think it's like a Japanese culture thing where they all go to the UK and they're all fascinated by, all the mundane UK things. And we're like... They're looking like Ardennes, look how, rustic and amazing this is.
Yeah.
Ardennes, if you don't know, it's a shithole, just so we're clear.
God, the listeners aren't going to like that, Kyle. I know who listens to this show.
It's fine, I could be wrong. Maybe it's changed in the 10 years since I lived there.
It's a housing estate or a project for Americans if they happen to stumble upon this. Housing project would be the phrase for Americans. But yeah, this is a gorgeous city, and they use it for Gotham, and we spoke about this before, and it then was used for Gotham again for
The Batman.
Batgirl, which we'll never see, and the Batman, but we've already done the Batman. But this film is just so painfully Glasgow because they haven't really changed anything.
No.
And there's one shot of this big military tumbler that the Falcone's son is using, where he rumbles down past a 4-way intersection, and there's a business on the corner, and it's a restaurant that's got a kind of baby blue colour aesthetic to it in the sandstone building. And it really popped out to me because they removed the business naming from it because they're not going to give a Glasgow business free promo, of course. But they haven't changed the colour. But that was for an Italian restaurant. I think it was called Rosario or something. I can't remember the name of it now. But that restaurant closed about 6 months after this happened because it was just horrible. But those colours were that restaurant's colours.
Yeah.
And I thought, that is the legacy of this restaurant. It semi-features in the Flash film, even though it was a really unsuccessful business. For a really unsuccessful film.
Uh-huh.
And whenever I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. I've been in that restaurant. It wasn't very nice.
Surprised they didn't drive past a Greg's.
Yeah, I mean, there is a Greg's in Fast and the Furious, because they also go through George Square for Fast and the Furious, or Hobbs and Shaw, Kyle. They filmed Hobbs and Shaw here, and they go right past. See where there's that shot on George Square in this movie of Batman going forward, and then cop cars and stuff skidding round a corner at a 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
On the wall that the camera is in front of, so you can't see behind the camera, there's a Greg's.
So all the cameramen, they were stuffing their faces with sausage rolls, is what you're saying.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying, yeah. And it's a Witherspoon's on that corner that they do turn around. And there's all those wooden blocks narrowing the street because that's the increased pedestrian cut-through area because they're trying to pedestrianise the city one street at a time. Anyway, this is just going to get into city planning, Kyle. But
I love that, Nathan. I would never spend 5 or 6 minutes talking about the layout of Toronto in a video. I wouldn't do that.
No, you've never done that. Never in your Star Trek Strange New Worlds video, no. But yeah, listen, always happy to see Glasgow in a movie, especially when it's Gotham, because everyone loves Batman, and they're probably going to use Glasgow for future Batman filming. There's no reason to not do it. We give good tax incentives, let me tell you.
Uh-huh. And Brendan Fraser approves. So,
and Brendan Fraser approves, yeah, absolutely. Oh god, it's a shame we'll never get to see Batgirl because they did a lot. They filmed basically the entire movie here, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been just extra juicy, whereas the only parts for Gotham here at the start of the Flash. But yeah, the second they ride out of the city centre onto a bridge, that's all soundstage bollocks, right? That's not anywhere. That's not a real place. But yeah, all really good fun. But we're not even talking about what the Flash is here to do, Kyle.
No, the Flash is here to save some horrible, horrible CGI babies.
Scary CGI babies. That these are unsettling children, Kyle.
There's a lot of Uncanny Valley CGI in this movie. It's mostly Uncanny Valley CGI.
But why? It's clearly a design choice.
If you say so.
But it's got to be because when they're in the Chrono Ball, they all have a look to them, right?
Yeah, they look like a PS3 cutscene, yeah.
Yeah, but then when they're outside the Chrono Ball, the babies look just as weird. But it's all in the Speed Force, that's the look of the
It's foreshadowing, Nathan, for the Speed Force.
It's crazy, right?
No, see, you can say it was a design choice. Yeah, it was a shite one then, because it looks like a bad PS3 cutscene.
Yeah, it's like Steppenwolf in Justice League.
It is like Steppenwolf. He would look lifelike in the Speed Force.
You'd fit in. But why have they done this? It's just a bad design choice. That's it, right? Because we speak about how they spent a lot of money in this film, but also it looks like they haven't spent enough money on this film.
Uh-huh.
And this is why. It's because of all the uncanny effects elements.
Yeah, I don't necessarily hate the whole, he has to save all these babies in concept. It's just, the CGI is terrible, and it's not funny. And
no, it's not funny at all.
That's a lot of this movie of, that was supposed to be funny, and it wasn't.
Yeah, a lot of this movie is that.
There's some jokes I liked, I think the stuff between young Barry and old Barry usually kind of works for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of this, I'm not a big slapstick guy, so a lot of slapstick just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I agree. So the Flash has to clean up after Batman. He is the janitor of the Justice League.
Yeah, makes sense. He can go real fast.
Is this what Wonder Woman would have had to have done if she had answered the call?
I mean, she did answer the call. She was there.
No, but remember, Alfred is like, oh, no one else is picking up. You were my first choice after being like my third choice.
Uh-huh.
And so, like, had someone else answered the call before the Flash and he was not asked to attend, would they have had to have done what Flash is actually having to do?
I think all those babies would have just died, right? Although I guess Wonder Woman can also kind of go super fast sometimes.
She could have held up the building.
That's true.
She could have held up the east
Also,
line.
she can fly.
Also, she can fly. She would have jumped up and saved all those children and taken a knife in the knee for them. And the dog. And the nurse.
Don't forget the dog.
Don't forget the dog, because that's the thing that gets the audience to go, hey!
Yeah, we don't care about babies, but we care about a dog.
Or,
yeah.
Something that did work for me is all the deadpan reactions to someone screaming in horror. That happens a lot.
Yes,
I quite like when the nurse is having an absolute breakdown. And, like, the Flash is like, oh, just another day, you know? And he's like, the Justice League doesn't really have a good aftercare team. I'm sorry, bye.
Yeah.
Film doesn't really come back around to that, though. Doesn't really engage with, the Justice League are terrors. This is what Marvel done a good job with this, dealing with, like, the aftermath of Winter
Civil
Soldier
War.
and Sokovia. Yeah. They had a movie because of that. This film never does that.
Yeah, this movie doesn't do anything.
No. It has a fun bit on a bridge with the Batman kill where he... Despite his outfit looking a little bit weird, though it's supposed to be like lightweight riding a motorbike Batman suit with hexagons on it.
They went for the blue, which is a choice.
They went for a bit of a blue look, but he loses the bike and then he grapples up into the sky and then barrels through the fiery explosion using the cape to glide. Terrific look. All on board for it.
Nathan, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Is this movie a sequel to Justice League or the Snyder Cut?
So we're going to get there, Kel, when we speak about Iris West later on.
Right. Because I feel like the answer is just yes.
Yeah, the answer is just yes, because at some points, like, Iris West remembers that they've maybe met before because she's sort of remembering when the Flash saved her life from that car crash in the Zack Snyder Justice League. But then the whole tone of the movie more fits with Justice League. And then I think later on there's some lines of dialogue that sort of feel like continuations of Justice League. But she remembers the deleted scene that only makes sense if you watch Snyder Cut.
Well, I guess that scene could have still happened in Justice League and we just didn't see it.
Yeah, but then why mention it? Like,
I don't know.
It's a bit strange. I think the answer is just yes. This film is a sequel to both.
Yeah.
You know, because at this point, who gives
Who cares? Yeah.
You know, I mean, Zack Snyder has said that he probably considers Zack Snyder's Justice League to be in its own little splinter continuity. So even though he speaks about it often, he's famously never seen the theatrical cut. I think he's probably fine at this point to just go, yeah, sure. The theatrical cut that is a butcher of my vision, that can be your continuity for all I care, you know?
Yeah.
For the sake of ease, you know, because Zack Snyder's a good company man. Good company man.
So many good company men and women in this movie.
So many good company men in this movie. So Batman barrels through the fire, Kyle, see after we watched the Batman where he's this silly little
his wingsuit.
Yeah, awful wingsuit. And then this, it's like a big bat cape.
Yeah.
And it just, it looks so good. And
you should always glide with the cape. The wingsuit was a step too far. No. Cape gliding. It doesn't make sense, but it looks cooler.
Yeah, it looks so much cooler. It's like, I thought it was just such a good visual. It really sticks with me. And then he's like gliding on top of the car and all that, and he's skidding across.
And he does the scene from Deadpool 1.
Yes, where he's in the back of the car having a fight. But then a guy just opens the door and rolls himself out the car.
That was literally like a Deadpool joke, I think.
If it felt like it. I don't think it actually happened in Deadpool, but it feels like a Deadpool joke. And then the car barrels off the edge of the bridge, and if that chemical thing that the Falcone kid has stolen falls into the Gotham Harbour, it'll kill half the city by lunchtime, Kyle.
Yep. And the case is just hanging open and none of them fall out somehow.
They were all like strapped in. There's like a Velcro strap over them.
I just saw them sitting in felt. I didn't realise there was straps as well.
Yeah, there was the black Velcro strap over the centre of each of them.
Okay.
And then just as Batman's about to drop this kid, because he can't hold on, because he's big hulking motorbike gloves on. Yeah, right? just after we watch Shazam, let me tell you, because I watched this in cinema, and after just seeing Shazam earlier in the year, it's a big year for Wonder Woman. It's a big year, 2023, a big year.
A big year for her swooping in to save the day and leave again.
I just love that she shows up, saves the day, has a little cheeky interaction with the hero, then leaves. Like leaves before the scene ends. You know, it's not like the scene ends with her in it. She exits the scene.
No, she has no words of wisdom for Barry. Nothing. She's just gone.
Yeah, she's just gone away to save the day. Fly away. And they do the lasso of truth gag from Justice League. That's why this feels like a Justice League continuation. You know,
and it apparently just makes you say things now. It just makes you say things that are true. It does. It's not even a matter of someone asking you questions.
Yeah, was Aquaman asked the question in Justice League? Because he was just rambling, kind of. He was saying that like Wonder Woman's gorgeous and all that. Like,
I guess,
he was just
but like
rambling.
The way this is executed, Barry touches it and then immediately says like, "Oh, I've never had sex," and blah blah blah. Right?
I think relative to how it works in Justice League, this, whilst a different tone, would make sense in the continuity.
It's just a good thing that it didn't say make Batman go, "Oh, and my name's Bruce Wayne and I live in Wayne Manor."
Yes, I have a butler called Alfred. Yeah, it's just gets Batman to just admit his darkest fears and all that, or why he
and they're still trying to ship Batman and Wonder Woman, I guess. They have like a little hey.
Which, listen, I think is genuinely a thing that this universe was trying to establish, especially when Zack Snyder was doing it. Yeah, and both in Justice League and in Zack Snyder's Justice League, especially in Justice League, where they have like those bits in the reshoots and like Batman's room with all the armor on the walls and the wood paneling, or when Bruce Wayne pisses her off, speaking about she's been away from 100 years because of Steve Trevor and all that, you know. Mm-hmm. Ezra Miller's like, you know, we'll cover for her if she kills you. You know, or like Bruce Wayne sends her the picture and says, you know, this belongs to you and all that, you know, Bruce. I think there's a lot they wanted, because I think that in other comic book source materials, it's always Superman and Wonder Woman kind of get together at some point. But they were going all in on Lois Lane for this story, for this version of Superman. Which, as they should. I
would say Wonder Woman has, in the past, paired up with Batman. Batman has a lot of love interests.
I'm unfamiliar with this source material.
I think there's a few comics where those two get together. Because usually, in most comic books, Superman and Lois Lane is the thing, you know?
Yeah. I kind of like it. I like this pairing.
It's fine.
It's fine. Nothing
I feel nothing about this.
Well, you'll be happy to know that it never goes anywhere, Kel, because we're done, right?
We're done. Bye, Deanna. Bye forever. This time for real, I assume.
Yeah, this is the last time we ever see Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. Yeah.
What an exit. I guess, is this better or worse than exiting with Shazam 2?
This is less funny. Yeah, this
is less funny, yeah.
I think that this would have been this is the last time we see Ben Affleck's Batman, Kel, right?
Yeah.
However, it almost wasn't, because Aquaman 2 was all over the place in its release schedule, and Michael Keaton done a cameo bit piece for it, because he was going to be the Michael Keaton. He was going to be the Michael Keaton. He was going to be the Batman going forward in DCEU. But then they swapped the release time scale, so they had, because this film was then going to come out before The Flash, so Ben Affleck done a thing with Jason Momoa for it, and Jason Momoa posted it on his Instagram, and it's still there, you can go see it, and he was like, yeah, I love working with this guy. And then James Gunn came in, changed the date again, and then cut both of them. So that was at the same time we also cut Henry Cavill out of this film, right? So there's just nothing. This is the end of
I assume this is partly why all the Snyder Bros hate James Gunn, because he's cutting all the SnyderVerse stuff from the movies.
I think even I, to a certain degree, would have liked to have still seen all this stuff. Just like, even if you know the universe is ending, commit to your vision until the end. Like Zack Snyder putting in all the other stuff in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Like, you know it's not going anywhere.
I think it's because James Gunn wants this soft Brexit thing instead of a hard Brexit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I also think it was because at the time, tied into the marketing of The Flash, he was trying to say that, like,
this is the Great Reset or something.
This is the Great Reset, and then he was like, Blue Beetle will be the first movie.
Yes.
Like, even though it's part of the old era, the old guard, the Walter Hamada era, because Blue Beetle was meant to be made for streaming, then they upgraded it to a film, whereas the Batgirl that was made for streaming then just got taken off the board altogether.
I had heard that, and watching this movie, I'm like, no, it isn't. This isn't a great reset of anything.
This is, yeah, exactly, right. Which I think is then where he then began to because he kind of double spoke. He was like, Creature Commandos and Superman Legacy is the first of everything. And then he then said The Flash is the reboot and Blue Beetle is the start of it because we want to see Blue Beetle and more things. But I think that was him just trying to promote the projects that he was now in charge of for a Christmas bonus or something. And then after these projects came out and bombed, he then went back to what he originally said and said, no, Superman and Creature Commandos is the start. Forget everything else, you know?
Yeah.
So I would have liked to have him just originally commit and just keep all the SnyderVerse stuff in this just to sing it out, you know? Because this film, even with the stuff he cut, does feel like it's a goodbye wave of the franchise.
Does it?
Plus some other... Oh yeah, because all the actors come back killed. You know, in terms of like an acting company of people doing a thing, everyone comes back and does a little bit, bye-bye, you know. There's also other bits that was changed at the end of this film, Kyle, where a certain actor who plays Batman shows up at the end.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it, but what I will say, without naming the actor, because we can do that funny reveal later, is there are a lot of behind-the-scenes leaks of that sequence of the film, because they shot that on location originally, and it's Michael Keaton there. In like a big long black coat, and he's got like, you know, a neckerchief thing, and
that would have made a little more sense.
Brilliant. And Supergirl shows up as well because there's Sasha Calle's like in ropes on, you know, to make her fly. She's on like the big harness thing pulling her up, and that's all like behind the scenes pictures because they all filmed it on location. And the leaks were fast and heavy, and then
and then I guess they were just like, fuck it, no one cares.
Yeah, but you can tell when they do the reshoot that all that other actor stuff is on a soundstage.
Yeah,
so it all looks really artificially lit. However, here's the tinfoil hat, right? When the actor gets out of the car, you see him from like the knees down.
Yes.
And then they cut to like a view of the crowd, and then the actor walks through the crowd. I actually think that from the knees down shot is still Michael Keaton. I think there's something about it. I don't quite know why. I think
why would you reshoot that bit, you know?
Yeah, I think maybe because the ground looks real. It doesn't look like a soundstage. But yeah, why would you reshoot that? But yeah, let's just move on. We'll wrap back around to that at the end.
Yeah, well, okay.
That's us kind of done all of my...
All of what we've been talking about, we're half an hour into this, and we haven't even got to the plot of the movie yet. This might be a long one.
That was the opening half an hour of the film there that we've just basically went through. 15 minutes.
Yeah, so the actual plot of the movie is, in the past, Barry's mum was murdered in broad daylight by someone who we never find out who it was or for what reason or why. Barry seems to not care why his mother was murdered.
This is established though in like Justice League and stuff as well. Like his dad's in prison, you know.
Yeah, no, he wants to get his dad free from prison, but he never like wants to track down who murdered his mum. Like he has no interest in vengeance whatsoever.
Good for him.
Or not vengeance, not even like justice or figuring out who did this. He just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Do you not find that kind of weird that the movie never explains who killed his mum?
It does feel like a bit of a Chekhov's murderer.
Yes.
You know, you should pay off. But the film's got so much going on that the film is a multiverse roller coaster. You know,
this may be the worst multiverse movie.
If the film was more focused to be a film about the Flash and not about everything else,
yeah,
they would make it maybe about him trying to hunt down. But I think that would then
in the comics it's usually Reverse Flash. I think is who does it.
It would be like too focused to like maybe, you know, like in Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi Spider-Man, where he finds the person who he thinks kills his uncle and like drops him out of a window or something. Or like
turns it later it's Sandman.
But that's later on. But you know what I mean? We're like, oh, you want to find who killed my uncle? I want to kill my mother, and he's the hero. And I think it would feel like we've done this before. See what you will about the Flash. I don't think we've done any of this before. This is crazy.
Yeah, well. Anyway, so his mum was murdered and he realises he can go back in time and he can move the soup can and he can change the timelines.
So he just thinks he would be creating a new future and not splintering into new reality. Yeah, I think Avengers Endgame has completely cracked open how time travel works in movies and it's become really confusing, actually.
Yeah, I miss the Back to the Future days where you change something in the past, it changes the future.
But everything
Simple
up
stuff.
until that point is unchanged.
I understand how that works.
Now, I get how it works in Endgame, but it caused a lot of arguments and fights with people because it was audience confusing. Like, I had to sit down and think about it for a while. It wasn't really something that I understood in the moment of watching the film.
Yeah, Endgame established the whole, like, you change time, you create a new multiverse thing, basically.
Which this film
That's not what this is either.
Well,
this movie's something different again.
It's like, no, because it's like you jump onto a new plane of spaghetti, but each strand of spaghetti has intersecting points with different realities. Like,
yeah, that's just a nonsense explanation, though.
That's kind of what Doctor Who does, where he speaks about fixed points. Like, no matter what, this person always dies and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
can't save
but
everyone.
Here's in Doctor Who, like, time travel doesn't matter. I know that's a stupid thing to say about Doctor Who, but Doctor Who doesn't give a shit about time travel rules whatsoever. Yes,
but the concept of a fixed point isn't like something that this film's pulling out its ass, you know?
I mean, it is. I mean, like, I'm talking, like, obviously time travel is all theoretical.
Yes.
But my basic brain logic is, like, Back to the Future. That makes the most sense for how time travel works.
I've heard, like, some physicists explain that before to say why that isn't why it would work and how multiverses actually has more of a basis to it. Maybe not changing the past, everything would still be the same in the past, but your past can't become your future, you know?
Well, yeah, it becomes a paradox. I get that.
Yeah, and the paradoxes must be resolvable, so it must therefore be a different reality that you're time travelling back into. You're not time travelling back into your own reality. You're like going back and jumping across.
I would wonder how normal people reacted to this movie, because the fact that going back in time and changing something changes the past is just a very, like, hard thing to accept in this movie.
I think the spaghetti analogy and the visual diagram for the audience is very helpful.
I guess.
In terms of just making the audience understand it. Now, whether or not they accept it is different, but understanding it, you know? Just the two lines that aren't parallel and they just intersect and there's fixed points that can't change, you know?
Why does Batfleck not understand this, but Michael Keaton Batman does understand the advanced mechanics of time travel?
Because he's older. He's older wisdom.
But this is a universe with no other superheroes. Or at least none that he knows of.
No metahumans exist, apparently.
Apart from all the metahumans that exist.
So in the new reality Flash travels to, there's Batman, who's not a metahuman. He's just a guy in a suit. And there's Supergirl, who is an alien, who's not a metahuman.
Yes, but you can still create metahumans quite easily by sending them to Star Labs to get struck by lightning.
Yes, that would seem like a thing that could still be done, but for some reason, Boba Fett, Tamora Morrison, never met Nicole Kidman.
But he still exists.
Yeah, yes, Boba Fett does, but he isn't a metahuman.
He's still the same guy.
Yes, but he never met Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, and also, I guess the Themyscira doesn't exist either. And
neither does Atlantis, apparently.
Yep.
Why is this a reality where metahumans don't exist? Don't worry about it.
There's a lot of, like, sure, okay, changing the past and all that. There's a lot of, like, stuff where you're like, why? Like, Barry's roommates are his office workers from his normal life, and, like, why? Does that mean anything? Is that just a wild coincidence?
Honestly, I didn't even put it together till reading your notes that they were the same people.
Yeah, that's why Barry recognizes them. He's like, those are your roommates, and, like, does that matter? Why did you put that in the movie? Why wasn't it just Gary, the guy who's not one of his office workers' mates?
We'll see when you say, like, oh, they're your roommates. I never picked that up as him recognising them. I honestly didn't twig that they were the same characters.
Yeah,
they're so violently different.
It's, like the girl, she has blue hair in this timeline because they're college aged instead of being office worker age.
Yeah, apparently.
How old is old Barry supposed to be?
30.
Really? Okay.
28, maybe. I think he's supposed to be kind of leaving the young era of his life, you know?
Right, okay. How long has it been since Justice League in this timeline?
I think it's still supposed to be 2023, so it's been about 10 years.
It's been 10 years?
Sorry, I'm thinking of Batman vs Superman, it was 2016, which even then isn't 10 years, I apologise. It's only supposed to be maybe like 5 years or something.
Okay. Because a big part of this movie is, like, older Barry. He's got it. He's all locked in. He knows exactly how to do Flash stuff now, and that wasn't his vibe at all in Justice League.
But he was 18 when he got his superpowers.
Right, and Justice League takes place pretty soon after that.
I think maybe a year or so after Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
The film came out in 2016.
Oh, because apparently Barry got his powers the day before Zod invaded.
Yeah, and then somehow decided to quickly become a superhero. And
Yeah, he made a suit in like half a day.
Yeah, he didn't even have any time, like, in some sort of moral crippled idea of what the hell's happening.
Yeah, because Zod from Man of Steel does still exist in this timeline.
They're aliens. I'm fine with that. The alien civilizations can still exist. That's not metahuman.
No, but
Killer
like,
Croc is a metahuman.
So it only affects Earth? No, because it doesn't. Because in this timeline they found Kal-El before he made it to Earth.
No, I'm
somehow.
not saying the timeline doesn't change. I'm just saying that I can believe that those people still exist because no metahumans exist, but other people surely can.
But like, no metahumans isn't like a defined rule. There's no metahumans that we know of, but that doesn't mean there's none.
Ezra Miller seems to think so, though. Barry Allen's like, there's no metahumans in this timeline.
Yeah, he doesn't bother looking for Dr. Fate or for Hawkman or for Black Adam, you know?
Yeah, where's Black Adam? That's what I want to know. Where's Shazam?
Yeah, he only cares about the superheroes he knows.
Yeah,
also, do you remember when he was spreading rumors that Aquaman fucks fish?
Yes, I do remember that.
Doesn't seem to remember that.
I love Peacemaker.
Because he's like, oh no, Aquaman's not a mermaid. It's like, no, the Barry that we know would absolutely be like, yeah, he's a mermaid.
Yeah, I think this Barry Allen's done a lot of growing up, and I think that's also because when he's a side character in the other films, part of the ensemble, but not a lead, he kind of comes across as like the comedic relief and a bit annoying, and this film doesn't want that as their lead, which makes sense. I wouldn't want that either, so they smartly give Ezra Miller a role of being head focused and objective based, but then they also want him to be the role that they were hired for, which is to be the comedic relief. So they get to play against themselves as two Barry Allens.
Both. So when he's going back in time, he gets knocked out of the Speed Force by a big, evil, mysterious bad guy. Oh, who could it be?
Ooh.
Right. And he, for some reason, he thinks he's been kicked out at the same time, even though, like, Barry, you were kicked out earlier than you were running towards. So obviously, you're not as far in the future as you think you are.
Yep.
But he doesn't click.
He just should have kept running immediately.
Yeah, he doesn't click when his mum is like, "Oh, how's school going?" It's like, "Mum, I graduated from college 6 years ago. What were you talking about?"
What would happen if he arrived like 2 minutes before he originally left? Did you just have to hide?
Well, I guess the world would be destroyed, right?
Apparently, yeah. Uh-huh.
Because General Zod would have transformed it into Kryptonian paradise or whatever.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. He's gone back to 2013 where Kal-El is dead and Zor-El is completely helpless to save the day. Though if it wasn't for Michael Keaton, Batman never would have saved her from a Soviet-Russian cell.
Is it Kara-El?
It might be Kara. Who's Zor?
Zor-El is his dad, right?
That's Jor.
Jor-El. Zor-El. It sounds like a real name, but I can't think who it is.
You could just
I
make
think it's
anything
Kara.
sound
Is it Kara Zor-El? Is that her name?
That could be it. That could be it. I'm just talking nonsense, Kyle, clearly.
Because she doesn't have a human name in this universe because she was captured by Russians and held in the Arctic, right? So they wouldn't have called her Kara.
Yeah, they wouldn't have, I suppose. You're right. So let's try and kind of start cutting into the meat of this, Kyle. We get one more cameo from Ben Affleck before the time traveling. We should mention where Ben Affleck, Batman, solves the issue of this film immediately, and Barry doesn't listen to him.
Yeah.
He's like, "Don't do this. This will be a mess. I am Batman. I'm correct. Okay, bye." In my big expensive Uber car.
Okay, so this movie is like a rough adaptation of the Flashpoint story, right?
So it's so rough. God, Kyle.
It's rough, but it's the same concept of Flash. He goes back in time to save his mum, right? That's the core, and then it changes a bunch of stuff by accident.
Yeah.
And I feel like, Nathan, I would have liked this movie so much more. Don't get me wrong, Michael Keaton's great, but imagine this movie with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Thomas Wayne as Batman. That would have been a movie.
He was supposed to. Because this is one of those movies where the Flash movie was announced just before the TV show The Flash aired. Mm-hmm. And then it came out just after the Flash TV show officially ended, after like 9 seasons.
But
because of how long it was in hell. And Jeffrey D. Morgan was hired for Batman vs Superman. Like, all of this is just trod territory. It's like how the Batman movie changed a lot from its inception to even having a different lead. Like, all of this was just in production hell for so long.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not like super familiar with the Flashpoint story. I've never read it. I've never watched any of the animated adaptations. But I understand conceptually why you would do that, right? Because Barry, he goes back to save his mum, and in that he costs this guy his son, and like they have that kind of opposite relationship there, right? And there's interesting stuff you can do with it. But with Michael Keaton in this one, it's like, when he's like, "Oh, I came back to save my mum," and Michael Keaton Batman's like, "Yeah, that sounds good. That's what I would do too, bud."
Yeah, even though Ben Affleck Batman's like, "No, don't do that at all." Actually,
yeah. So
the scars are the things that make us, very Captain Picard of him.
Yeah. I also say, like, the mum is just the ultimate plot device character of, like, she's the nicest, bestest mum you've ever seen in the whole wild world.
The film's got to get you on board with saving her child.
She's not a character. She's a MacGuffin of, like, she hugs random strangers in the store because they're crying.
She is a paragon.
She is an ultimate paragon of virtue, and she dances with her son in the kitchen while they make pasta.
Yeah, she seems like a nice lady.
She's comically nice. Comically not a real character.
I actually think she's covering up for something pretty sinister. Maybe she killed herself to frame the dad because she's actually really sadistic.
Well, that would then moving the soup can wouldn't have saved her. Why did moving? Oh, because he didn't have to go shopping. So I guess Dad fought off the murderer. Is that what happened in this timeline?
That's what happened. Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly what happened. Or maybe like the murderer saw that there was two people in the home and went, "Oh." I think the film tries to imply that it was like like an opportunist burglar encounter gone wrong
in suburbia in the middle of the day.
But like it's gone wrong. Like the person didn't intend to kill Barry's mum. It was just like a struggle that ended in a knife stabbing.
Yeah, but they still got away without anyone seeing them somehow,
and without stealing anything apparently.
Yeah. Yeah,
no one saw it, but it was 2002. Everyone was watching Scooby-Doo, written by James Gunn.
Right.
See, young Barry Allen has a mystery.
I feel like you've made that joke before in this podcast for something else.
Yeah, I have. It was for the Batman.
Right, they were out of the cinema to see. Right, okay.
Yeah, when because that's how long.
Right,
ago.
So if it was Jeffrey Dean Morgan, those timelines would have lined up.
Absolutely.
Oh no, because Bruce Wayne is older in this universe. Never mind.
Yeah, yes. But also, I think
unless the Waynes were killed when Ben Affleck was like 25.
He's killed in his Good Will Hunting era. I think that Jeffrey D. Morgan Batman actually wouldn't have been as impactful as maybe you would have liked it to be if it happened. Because also a thing about that Batman is he uses guns.
Yeah, well, that's fine because it's like an altering universe Batman.
Well, yes, but what I'm trying to say to you
it doesn't contrast with Batfleck.
It doesn't contrast with Batfleck, yes, because they both use guns.
Yeah. So Barry he meets his younger self, and you mentioned in your notes that you think that this effect looks pretty good. I could not disagree with you more.
Really, I think it looks perfectly seamless.
No, honest to God, there's like so many shots in this movie where you can see that one of them is an obvious face replacement, and it's so distracting. It's like one of them has the weird CGI face, and it's really disturbing.
I mean, obviously that's how they do it, right? But I think I've seen this movie 2 or 3 times now, more likely 2. And when I saw it in cinema on the big screen, and when I watched it in my room in HD, I have not noticed it.
I don't know how.
I think
honestly Henry Cavill mustache level.
I think I, as a person, have quite a good eye for that kind of thing. Just personally, as my own assessment of myself. And I honestly feel like I'm blind to this observation that you're making in regards to this cut screen face replacement stuff for the double Ezra Miller. I think for my eyes, it looked
any shot where like one of them walks in front of the other one, the one behind is like a face replacement, and it just looks terrible.
I think maybe you're too sensitive to deepfake technology. I don't know. I don't know how to address that because I have zero input that I can give simply because I thought it looked absolutely perfect. I thought, despite because I bet like we speak about how this movie has, despite costing so much, seems to have allocated its money all the wrong places. And people say, "Oh, the visual effects of this movie are trash." And when it comes to the uncanny valley look for everything, I completely agree. But then every single shot with the 2 Ezra Millers is special effects. And for my money, I think it just looks perfect.
I mean, I can't I don't have the screenshots in front of me to disprove you, but I cannot abide by you saying it's perfect, because it's just not. It just looks really weird and jarring, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I am not the final say on this, obviously. People can make up their own minds. But this is what makes this podcast great, because we argue a lot, and we don't respect each other,
No.
and we wish that each other were dead for our movie opinions, because movies are important.
Yeah, you're a goddamn SnyderVerse terrorist. You don't
I
deserve to
am.
live.
This is all my doing. I bought that hoodie for the Snyder Cut, and now everything's crumbling around us.
Do you remember when Barry gets struck by lightning and a tooth falls out for some reason?
I wish I didn't.
And then it goes into the mouth of the other Barry?
Yes, it like chips off his tooth. It doesn't chip his tooth off, but it hits against his tooth, yeah.
Yeah. What was the point of that?
It was just for a bit. It was a bit for later on when his tooth falls out his face when he sees another actor.
Right, but they don't like establish that as a running gag throughout the movie. You'd imagine that if they were going to do that, his tooth would keep falling out throughout the movie, right?
No,
as like a joke.
That'll become annoying. It's a setup for a payoff, Kyle, but it's a really long setup and payoff.
Yeah,
It's
to
so
the
that
point
when
where
that
it's been
thing-
like 2 hours and you've forgotten
it's
that
so
happens.
when the last
this
beat of
movie
the
is so
movie
long,
happens.
by the way. This
So
movie is really long.
2 hours and 18 minutes, including the credits. Yeah, it is. And it's paced poorly, I think, as well.
Yes, it is. Yeah, because the third act just sort of creeps up on you, it does.
Yeah, absolutely. What do we think of the Keaton suit, Kyle? Have you seen the Tim Burton Batman movies?
I have not seen the Keaton Tim Burton Batman movies, I'll be honest, which makes a lot of this movie quite funny. Because because he says things and like, yeah, that's a reference.
You want to get nuts, Kyle?
It makes no sense. It makes no sense in the context that he says that line.
Yeah, no, that's the worst bit in the film. Like, see earlier in the film where he goes, "Yeah, I'm Batman," and it sounds like he's really fed up of saying it.
Uh-huh.
I think that was funny on like a metatextual level, because like Michael Keaton probably is fed up of saying that, but then like the "let's get nuts" thing, I'm like, that makes no sense.
There was a line there with young Barry that I liked where he's like, "Wait, this guy's Batman," and Barry goes, "What did you think we were here for?"
I thought this was the cousins' dinner or something. Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was a good bit. What do you think of the Batcave?
I like a proper Batcave.
This is a Batcave, isn't it?
There's no Alfred there to clean up the bat shit, so there's bat shit everywhere.
Yeah. That tarp, the silk tarp over the Batmobile was pretty nice.
Yeah, they don't expect them to do anything with the Batmobile. It's just like, there's your beauty shot for fan service, but we're not going to use it.
Yeah, but it's a really nice Batmobile, really nice
I
cave.
think it's kind of strange that this Batman never got a Robin.
Well, he did get a Robin.
Well, yeah, he got a Robin when he became Val Kilmer, but this version of Michael Keaton Batman never got a Robin, I guess.
Oh, you mean in the context of the Flash movie, he never had a Robin? Yeah, I suppose so, because this film sort of acts as if the Val Kilmer, George Clooney films
don't exist.
weren't canon to that. But that's a box that you can buy of all four. That's supposed to be a four film collection. But yeah, this film seems to act as if it went Batman Returns, The Flash. Yeah, so there was no Robin for him.
I don't hate the idea of this Batman. He's retired. He's living in a cupboard or whatever to trick people into living into his house. I
thought you would think it was quite optimistic because, like, he's a Batman who did save the city. He done the job. He finished the mission and he got to retire.
I'm fine with that. I think it's weird that after that he becomes like a weird hermit, but I guess that's the vibe of Michael Keaton Batman, isn't it? Like, he doesn't go out and just become like a socialite who runs charities or whatever.
Yeah, he's a bit socially awkward.
He just retreats into a cupboard and makes pasta.
Yeah, and I imagine this Alfred, I don't know what year this actor died, but I think that we can imagine this is someone who's been without Alfred for about 2 decades.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still insanely rich and all that. I wonder what the state of Wayne Enterprises is like, but he's definitely just sort of a recluse. I don't know why the rest of Wayne Manor has fallen in such disrepair. It must be something because of something no Alfred. But
you know what this movie reminds me of? You talked about Doctor Who earlier. You remember the episode of Doctor Who where the timeline gets like totally stuffed and like there's like Greeks running London and their contemporaries with
Winston Churchill is like the president of the Roman Empire.
Yeah, all that stuff. That's what the universe of this movie reminds me of. It's just a bunch of nonsense.
Hot air balloons flying around the sky.
Yeah.
I would say there is a joke though in one of the Tim Burton Batman movies where he brings Vicky Vale round to his house for dinner and they're in the big dining room and they're both sitting at either end of this huge medieval dining table and they're like shouting across the table at each other because they're so far away. And he's like, I don't actually think I've ever been in this room before because
Right.
like it's all just bullshit opulence. It's not something he actually uses unless he's having a fancy party. So I do
Yeah.
kind of get that actually Bruce Wayne probably doesn't use a lot of his mansion. He probably does just like a little bachelor pad round the back.
Sure, yeah. Anyway, look, Michael Keaton Batman, Michael Keaton is clearly having a lot of fun in this movie, and that's good for him.
I think whereas Ben Affleck is a good company man,
Uh-huh.
I think Michael Keaton's a businessman. I think he did get a shit ton of money.
Oh, I bet. But I don't think he's phoning it in, though. I think he's here for a good time.
What do we think of this Batsuit kill in the harsh daylight after they break out of the Russian
Oh, it
base?
looks bad. It's
awful.
clearly not designed to be shown in daylight, but you know what? It's fine. I
I'm
like
not-
that he doesn't move his neck because he can't. That's consistent.
Very consistent. I quite liked it infiltrating the Russian base sections. I think Batman seems quite effective in that, where he keeps putting up his cape to block Barry from being shot,
Yeah.
and all the bullets just fall off.
That was another line I liked in the movie. It's like, why didn't you tell me we could get shot? Why did you assume that we couldn't get shot?
Yeah, that was a good bit. Yeah, I like when they're in the Batwing kill, where everything just batshit, like the Bat weather vane, the Batmobile, the Batwing.
Everything Batman makes should be bat shaped. I've always been a proponent of this because you did a shot where the Batwing is in front of the moon, and it's a good shot.
It's a really good shot. Which they pay homage to in Spider-Man: Homecoming with Michael Keaton as the Vulture, where he shadows the moon.
And all that classic Batman theme, so iconic. Love it.
I think I didn't like it in Justice League because it was really understated, but seeing this movie where they just go for the operatics of it all, I think it's just terrific.
A lot of good Batmaning in this movie.
A lot of good Batman in this movie.
A lot of good Batmaning in this Flash movie.
In this Flash movie. A lot of people thought there was a non-zero chance because of all the Ezra Miller stuff at the time that they might just rename this movie to be Batman Flashpoint.
Well, I do remember that, and I remember the poster where you get the massive bat signal overshadowing Barry, which was quite funny.
They must have a different version of that it is just Michael Keaton, you know. We're going to pay you more, make you the lead, we'll do these contract negotiations again.
You're going to have to deal with this idiot kid who messed up your timeline.
Yeah, I feel real bad for Michael Keaton though, coming back to do 2 of these movies. Technically 3 if you include Aquaman, and you never get to see two of his scenes in 2 films because he was cut from Aquaman. Batgirl's never coming out, and The Flash, the one movie he did do, was marred in controversy and bombed hard, you know? Like, it's really, I feel bad for him considering how resistant he had historically been to returning to this. It's the reason he didn't do Batman Forever, you know, and Batman and Robin. Like, he just thought it sounded crazy, and Tim Burton left the project, and he was like, they don't know what they're doing, I'm done. You know? He didn't also want to be remembered as Batman for the rest of his life.
I did listen to some other takes on this movie, because I like to do that, and I think it was Weekly Planet. They brought up that, like, is Michael Keaton Batman still a name draw for kids these days?
So I also have heard that take, but not just exclusively from Mr. Sunday Movies and Co. I had heard it just generally as a discussion point for like.
Because I'll say, like, for our generation, our Batman as a kid was Christian Bale.
Well, I got into Batman pre-2005 with Batman Begins. I would say that was like Christian Bale was the contemporary Batman, but when I'm playing Batman and Robin in the playground, I'm actually thinking of Val Kilmer and George Clooney Batman.
Right,
because
okay.
they were the ones with all the Happy Meal toys and like the wacky Jim Carrey Riddler and the big plastic action man that was Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze.
I guess it's that, or it's Kevin Conroy animated series, right?
Or Kevin Conroy animated series. I had watched the 2 Michael Keaton films, the Val Kilmer and George Clooney Batman movie. Those 4 films, they were my earliest interactions with Batman. But I think as a child, Batman with the Joker was fine. It was whatever. Batman Returns was a bit too gothic and boring for me, which I still think is a bit true. And then the Batman Forever and Batman Robin was the cool, wacky, hyper-plastic Happy Meal film.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed them a lot more. And then Christian Bale came along, and then that's maybe when you start, when you're like, 2008 is when The Dark Knight came out, and that's when you start to get more into the edgy things, you know, and the Michael Bay Transformers movies are coming out.
Joker memes.
Yeah, Joker memes, you know. So, yeah, I think that to a lot of the predominant movie-going audiences, I think the target audience for Michael Keaton is people in their late 30s and early 40s.
It's the parents, I guess.
Yeah, the parents. I think that they did, because they saw Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, you get the 3 Spider-Man.
And thought that's crazy. But what you got to remember is
those movies are newer.
Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man spanned as late as 2008. 8
Yeah.
with Christian Bale's Batman. Then Amazing Spider-Man was coming out when the first Avengers was. Like, those are for the kids of today, you know?
Yeah.
Or like the grown-up market drivers of today who were kids back then for
Yeah,
the nostalgia.
us. They're for us.
Good for us. Michael Keaton Batman, whilst yes, we watched them, they were movies you watch in your home. They weren't going to the theatre events unless you're older
you had
than us.
You had them on DVD.
Yeah, you had them in DVD or VHS in my case. Like, yeah, I think they overestimated the draw that Michael Keaton's Batman would hold. That's like, oh, do you want to go see The Flash, Dad? And then Dad goes, oh, who's in it? And you go, oh, Michael Keaton's Batman. And Dad goes, oh, sure. That's how you get your dad to come with you. You know?
Uh-huh.
That's what brings Dad out to the cinema. That's not what brings the people that are asking Dad to go, which I'd argue.
And then Dad sits and watches 2 hours of wacky Flash antics. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it goes, what the hell is this? Yeah. But I do think this film is... I'm not a big artist, Kyle, as you're the artist out of the two of us.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And sometimes we think I'm tone deaf to things. I don't think I'm tone deaf, though, to clashing art styles in this film. Because I don't mind clashing art styles in a sense, because it kind of like... It's part of that Winston Churchill, head of the Roman Empire effect of the movie, or these things don't match and that's fine. But yes, I just think everything looks ugly in this film, though, even if that's the conceptual idea.
Oh,
for
my
instance,
God. Seeing this Batwing clash against those Kryptonian spaceships is so funny.
Yeah, because the Man of Steel look is so curated. You might not like it, but it is very specifically designed and everything's thought out. Nothing's just random, and it fits the Man of Steel film aesthetic perfectly.
Uh-huh.
In this film, everything just feels like they're putting the Man of Steel 2D texture pack on top of everything and just slapping it on whatever.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Tim Burton weird gothic impressionist, German expressionism look on everything.
And you've got the terrible Flash suit, which is nothing.
Which is like just of today, which just says a lot about our current designs.
I think it's worse than most of our designs today.
Yeah, that's true, it is worse. And all of this stuff merge, and then like young Barry Allen makes his own Flash suit because our Barry Allen gets his powers back.
Because him losing his powers doesn't really matter at all to the overall. I guess it's so he can't go and quickly fix everything when he realises he's messed everything up.
I do quite enjoy him trying to be a mentor to his younger self. So because there is a part where he's like, "Oh, is this how annoying I am to everyone else?" And it's like, "Yes, actually, Barry, you are, and you need to reckon with this." I quite enjoy seeing this character have to learn a lesson.
Yeah, I guess.
I do think that he does learn something from this film, you know? He learns that Ben Affleck was right 2 hours ago.
Looking back, he spends shockingly little time in this movie with his mum that he saved.
Yeah, he doesn't spend a lot of time with his mum at all, and he's got to learn to let go. This film is a lot about letting go, Kyle, isn't it?
Yeah. You'd think there'd be a scene where, like, young Barry introduces old Barry to his mum, and it's like, hey, this is what's going on, and it's like, oh, hey, Barry.
You're gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
No,
after that initial dinner scene, he never actually goes back home to see his parents being happy.
Yeah, I think
just like a background detail.
Because he became really concerned that he lost his powers and was stuck in the wrong time. Like he started to prioritise stuff real quickly. He immediately realised he'd made a mistake, I think. But
why does getting struck by lightning again make him lose his powers, by the way?
It freezes all the toxins out of him. I don't know. I don't have a clue.
Okay, sure, yeah.
I don't have a clue, whatever.
Also, he can walk through walls.
I really enjoyed seeing the phasing. I actually quite enjoy the Flash power set in this film. I don't enjoy the visualisation of him running between cities. That looks really ugly. But I quite enjoy the phasing through it, like the just vibrating something at a certain speed sort of moves the atoms in such a way that lets the atoms pass through each other.
I can find that he can do that. I feel like that would turn anyone he's holding into liquids.
Well, he does mention that you can't run with someone at hyperspeeds for too long because it'll rip them apart.
Yeah, but you can vibrate them at the speed of atoms.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do that apparently. Well, I guess if all the atoms within you are vibrating in the same direction at the same speed, everything's sort of holding itself together because you're just shifting everything, an atom to the left or an atom to the right, all at once. You're not moving your skin at a faster motion.
I'm not a doctor, so I guess I don't know that for sure, but that sounds like you would just liquidize to me.
I mean, yeah, I don't know either, Kel, but I'm trying to work with the movie here, not against it, right? I don't like just condemning something if I can grant it its benefit, you know? And I do just quite enjoy seeing him, like when he tried to phase through and he lost his powers and he just walks into the wall. Mm-hmm. Or like when he tries to do his super run, he just ends up doing a really strange ice skating loop around the stairway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so young Ezra Miller makes his Michael Keaton Batman suit into a Flash outfit.
Yeah.
And it just looks awful. He like saws off the ears.
It's supposed to look awful, to be fair.
Yeah, but like we're in the movie now. We're in the big action sequence in the desert. Hey, Zod kills Martian Manhunter, but we don't see his face.
Yeah, well, how funny would it be if Martian Manhunter revealed himself in that moment?
You know what? I think this film would have more going for it.
I think that would be quite funny. Why does he still deploy the big laser thing in Metropolis?
It got deployed somewhere.
Yeah, but just why isn't it deployed where he is in this random desert?
Maybe
this desert action scene, by the way, looks awful.
Looks horrendous. Why is it still going on? Because they leave.
We kind of glossed over Supergirl, but that's because she's in like 5 minutes of the movie.
Let's talk about Supergirl a little bit, actually. I think she looks terrific.
Sure.
I think Sasha Calle, perfect casting. I think she visibly looks like she could be a cousin of Henry Cavill Superman specifically. Like, they just look like that's a strong gene pool of like the Ordered Society of Krypton. I like the traditional blonde Supergirl in the skirt or whatever, that's fine. But if you're going for a casting decision to visually symbolise these two are related,
she looks Man of Steel-esque.
Yeah, I love her outfit. I like she's got the little thumb hoops in her outfit, like for your thumb to pop through. I like the red shoulders, the big cape. I think she looks like a really good feminine Henry Cavill, actually. She's got a really big wet hair, like her hair always looks wet.
Yes, she has TikTok boy hair.
I feel really bad for her because I think this was supposed to be a big like career sign on for her. Like she was going to be Supergirl for the foreseeable, and then James Gunn took over.
Well, look, she looks wise, sure. Character wise, there's very little there.
But because this is her introduction in a bad movie, she would go on to do stuff. You know, as I've mentioned earlier, she did show up at the end of the movie outside the courthouse with Michael Keaton. All of this was on set, on location, and this was like a sign of going forward. But no, because The Rock bombed.
I just find it. I remember when this movie came out, everyone was like, "Oh, Sasha Calle, she's the best part of the movie." And watching it, I'm like, I mean, she's fine. The best, like, people were really going on about how great she is as Supergirl, and I'm like, I don't know, it's a performance in a movie. She did the job. I'm not like blown away by it.
I think she really sells the anger that like, oh, you killed the person I was here to protect.
Well, like, what's her arc in this movie though? It's like she
I'll tell you her arc.
Initially, she's rescued and she's like, oh, I don't trust humans, and then she sees Zod kill a human and she's like, I'm going to save Barry now.
Yeah, that's the arc. There you go. So she's like, I've seen how humanity treated me. You're all awful. I don't think the Earth needs to be saved. And then she goes to confront Zod and then sees that humans are trying to stand up to him. It's like, oh, maybe you all aren't the same. I will help you, Barry Allen. That's it. And then
why does that change her mind?
Because she sees, oh, you aren't all just a monolithic slab that are awful.
But wouldn't she just assume that the humans are going to mistreat Zod because he's an alien like they mistreated her?
Yeah, that would also make sense. I also did consider this when watching the film, but I also then assumed that's not the intention the film's trying to convey to you.
Also, how long does Zod spend in that desert just murdering soldier men?
Yeah, because after the missiles get launched at Zod's ship and the fight happens and she goes back to the Batcave to resurrect Barry and give him his powers back, they then return to the desert all souped up and the fight's still happening and it's like the next day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's like an airstrip as well, apparently. I never really got that vibe from Man of Steel, but there's like...
No, it just looks like a big empty desert.
Yeah, but then in this film there's like helicopter shots where you can see like dusty runways underneath it.
I don't think it's supposed to be the same location as Man of Steel. I think it's supposed to be a different location.
It looks like the same location from Man of Steel.
Well, it's a different universe, so maybe, it's just different now.
It's just different now. Or maybe I've just not paid attention to Man of Steel often enough. Maybe I should.
I can't believe that's true, because you love that movie.
I love that.
Reason.
Yeah, I love that movie. But sometimes people it's the details. Every time you go back to a film that you love, you get something different.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Was Michael Shannon ever on set for this movie?
I think a lot of his stuff was done on the soundstage, and I bet that whilst he was there, they've put a lot of filters on him.
Yeah. He always has like the holographic display on to kind of hide like maybe CGI face replacement, and that's just the vibe I got from him.
What I believe that was for is to hide the fact that he is 10 years older. To hide the fact that they don't want to do...
Michael Shannon looks pretty good. I don't think they need to do that.
I think that I used to think that, but watch Knives Out after watching Man of Steel.
Uh-huh.
He does look older. Not like... oh, this film is a redeemable, look how obviously older Michael Shannon looks. But if you're in this era that Hollywood is definitely in, of using digital facial technology to make actors look different, and then you go, oh no, we've blown all our money on weird Uncanny Valley chrono ball stuff, yeah, give his atmosphere breather Kryptonian face cover on to sort of CGI hide the wrinkles. I think that's what it is. They also brought back, what's her face, his henchman lady.
Yeah, she doesn't say a single word, but she is in the movie.
She is in the movie, and so is her big brute character, the big tall Kryptonian.
Well, he's just a CGI creature, he's nothing.
So I know earlier on I spoke about, I'm Michael Shannon, I'm here to kill everyone, blah. But I kind of enjoy how they actually took a swing at this to be a Man of Steel sequel, kind of. Not exactly, but they dedicate time to Sasha Calle's Supergirl interacting with Zod. He's not in the film as much as Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, but in No Way Home.
They give him a reason to stab Sasha Calle, Supergirl. That's about it.
Yes, but I enjoy seeing that, oh, this is how this character deals with this situation. Oh, we actually found Kal-El. Here's where he is. Here's why Henry Cavill's not in this movie, fanboys. It's because we killed him as a child.
Uh-huh.
This is your Supergirl now.
Because in this universe, Supergirl is actually the one who contains the Skull Codex or whatever for some reason.
Yeah, it was like a bait and switch. They're like, everyone will be chasing the baby, but no one will be going for the girl.
Right.
How progressive, Kyle.
I guess Jor-El's just a shit dad, so I guess we already knew that.
Russell Crowe doesn't care.
Yeah, Nathan, I'm happy for you. You couldn't pay me to care, honestly.
I just enjoy this just version of the Kryptonians. I just think Michael Shannon's a really good evil genius.
I am too busy laughing at the scene where Batman does a suicide run on the Kryptonian ship and it does nothing because it has a force field.
Yeah.
And so Batman just blows up for no reason.
And then Barry Allen's just looking up at him going, no.
Yeah, and then they go back in time and it's like, don't do it, Bruce, it has a force field. Oh, roger that, and just pulls up.
He pulls up and flies away. It was like it's Carter in Halo Reach where he's like, I have the mass. Roger that, sir. Flies into Scarab.
Uh-huh.
I quite enjoyed seeing him use this 1980s Batwing, though, to use grappling hook technology to swing around Kryptonian ships and make them crash into each other.
Sure, and somehow that works. But yeah. Why does the grappling hook work on them, but missiles don't? How does the grappling hook get through a force field? Or is it grappled onto the force field?
It's not that it gets with the force field. He, attaches it to, a mountain, like a big rock sticking out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And he, swings round it like the AT-AT destruction in Empire Strikes Back. He gets, the rope to just pull on the Kryptonian vessels to crash into each other.
Right, okay.
Sure, you remain unconvinced.
I remain unconvinced that Batman can do anything in this fight.
I like seeing him. He's good. He's fun.
Anyway, this we're at the third act, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, if you can't tell.
Because suddenly the whole point is, okay, so young Barry, he wants to keep going back in time to kind of reset this. And here's my first of many questions. Why doesn't it just create lots of Barrys out on the field? What happens to... Because we see them the first time they do this, they kind of jump in front of their past selves. But what happens to their past selves at that point? Shouldn't there be 4 Barrys on the field now?
Yeah, there should be.
So why isn't there?
Because we're in the Chrono Ball and we're not going to think about it. Apart from that one time we go, though, we actually don't follow young Barry doing all this again. We just stay in the Chrono Ball whilst he runs a million times, getting slowly more stabbed with Kryptonian armor shards.
Yeah, somehow.
Because he keeps killing the big brute one over and over with the focus energy, and it explodes and keeps stabbing him. Then he has to kill Zod's lady henchman again and again and again with a big stab, probably.
Yeah, it's like the end of Loki season 2.
And then he runs for millions of times and becomes grey, and he's a really old man.
Yeah, we don't see that either because somehow young Barry and super old Barry are also there at the same time, which doesn't make sense.
All the different versions intersect, Kyle.
Yeah, but okay. This is resolved when young Barry sacrifices himself for old Barry, and so old Barry dissipates because, they're the same guy. But that doesn't make sense with the rules that have been established in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, in the Chrono Ball, you're like outside of time, so maybe it does work more traditionally, because...
What? Time works more traditionally in the Chrono Ball out of time?
Oh, no, so what I'm telling you, Kyle, is it does kind of work like that, because when he, at the end of the movie, goes and puts the tomatoes back, he's signing his mother's death warrant. He knows that he is having an effect on the future by committing that act. So
yeah, but he's just undoing the thing he did at that point.
Well, yes, fine. When he puts it in the shopping trolley in the first place, he knows he's committing an act that will have an effect on the future. He just doesn't know it's also going to affect the past. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense that that would also kill him.
No, like, old Barry dies because young Barry gets stabbed. But isn't that a paradox?
You also think that would also kill present Barry Allen?
Yeah, wouldn't it? Or is present Barry just different because he's from an alternate timeline?
He's from an alternate
the rules don't apply to him.
Yeah, he's from an alternate timeline. The rules don't apply to him. There you go.
I think that sounds like bullshit, Nathan.
Well, I think you should take it up with Andy Muschietti.
Old Barry, by the way, the effect looks terrible, obviously, it goes without saying, but I enjoy that he's just like snivelling, drooling monster man.
Yeah. He's like, I've been here a million years and you're my hero. What I enjoy
also,
is
like,
that the story...
I feel like he could have figured this out by now, you know?
I enjoy that the story resolves itself with present time Barry Allen doing nothing.
Yes.
He literally stands still whilst young Barry Allen and old Barry Allen have a bit of a
also,
spat.
he's talking to young Barry Allen like, this universe is destined to die, and it's like, why would young Barry Allen just accept that?
Yeah, I also...
This is his universe!
Yeah, this is like, why would he just stand by and accept the end of everything? You're like, oh, maybe, like, you know, your mum will always be with you alive in some other timeline. Okay, that's fine. But what is this Barry Allen supposed to do? Is he just supposed to die with his reality, Ezra Miller?
It is insane to me that the conclusion of this movie is we're just going to let this universe that we've spent most of the movie in blow up.
Yeah.
We're just going to let Zod win, I guess. That's crazy.
Yeah. That is how that universe ends.
We see Michael Keaton die for the second time in Barry's arms, and it's like, oh, you already tried and saved me, kid, and it's not gonna work, and blah blah blah.
He's like, we can bring you back, and he's like, you already did. It's like, is that because you've gotten back in the batsuit?
Yeah, or is it because Bruce Wayne figured out that Barry stopped him from crashing into that spaceship?
Yeah, probably because he's super smart.
But like, that's the last time we see Michael Keaton Batman in this movie. They never save him. He's just, that universe is dead now.
Well, Kel, no universe is really gone because...
Oh my god, the worst scene in the movie?
Apparently all these different universes are represented as spheres. They're all chrono balls. And they
Yeah.
all collide into each other. And we see literal 2D clip shows of like... It looks like...
Of like the 60s Batman show.
Yeah, no, but it looks like a cross-section of cutting open like an apartment building where you're seeing all the different floors.
It's such a strange effect.
Like, yeah, you're seeing like...
so weird.
Lots of different Adam West Batmans doing the same scene, running...
It looks like, you know, those like old like pre-TV motion things where you spin the thing and you see the horse run. It looks like that.
That's exactly what it looks like. And then you see resurrected deepfake Christopher Reeves.
Oh my god, yeah.
You also, in the Supergirl, from the Supergirl spin-off movie, from
Yep.
that continuity, you also see the black and white George Reeves Superman.
Yeah.
Who Ben Affleck actually played in the movie, by the way. He even got in the Superman costume for it. And I believe that actor committed suicide, heavily attributed to him being associated with Superman.
Yeah, I have heard that, yes. So this is just kind of gross.
Yeah. And then, so the deepfake thing with Christopher Reeves and the Supergirl thing, George Reeves, we also see a World War I Flash running, who I believe shows up.
Jay Garrick Flash,
who I believe shows up in the Flash TV show, and it is the TV show Flash actor who plays that version of the Flash in the show.
Uh-huh.
So that is actually a crossover with the TV show, technically, though it isn't.
Yeah, but they don't have Grant Gustin Flash in here.
Yeah, he isn't in here, though. That would have been nice, I suppose.
That would have made a lot more sense.
Would have made a lot more sense. Like, why is there World War I Flash here? What the hell is that?
Why is there so many versions of Superman, but only one other Flash in this Flash movie?
Then why don't we go for the big standout, Kyle?
Oh my god. A horrible CGI plastic Nicolas Cage?
So this is all from the original script of Kevin Smith's Superman movie where he fights a giant spider.
I know. It's...
Though, you know Nicolas Cage hates this?
Of course he does.
No, but he was like...
Did they even tell him he was in the movie?
Oh, no, yeah, he showed up for this. He was hired to do this. This
Okay.
isn't like deep fake. This is like he showed up.
Well,
he
it is
got in
deep fake.
Oh yeah, no. So he showed up and got in costume and done all this, right? But he said, because it's not apparently deep fake, he'd done it, and they de-aged him, and they might have put a weird filter on him, but he got in costume and he acted for this film. And he says that
I mean, it looks like his introductory cutscene in like a fighting game.
yeah, but he also says that he wasn't asked to do the big spider fight scene. He was asked to like act as if he's watching reality be destroyed, and all the action stuff is nothing, and he hates it.
Right.
And he doesn't know why he looks so fake.
I'm with you, Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Also, this is like a reference for like 16 people who understand the back history industry, where Nicolas Cage was at one point going to be in a Superman movie. The vast majority of people watching this movie are like, "Is that Nicolas Cage? What the heck?
Yeah, why is Nicolas Cage dressed as Superman? Like, why? Yeah.
Why does he have long hair? Why is he fighting a spider?"
Yeah. Very good inside cut. Like, I respect it. But it's so above and beyond the average cinema goer. Because they'd be like... Because what they're going to come out of that film believing is, oh, okay, so is Nick Cage now going to be Superman going forward? That's what the dad who went to see Michael Keaton be Batman, they're going to go...
Because Dad likes Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, Dad loves Nicolas Cage. He loved Face Off and all that, you know?
Yeah, he loved Con Air.
Yeah, exactly, right? And he'll watch this and go, oh, right, okay, so Michael Keaton is dead as Batman, and now we've got another actor as Batman who we'll get to. But the last time you see Superman in this film is Nick Cage.
Yes. So you're like, oh, that must be a reference to the next movie, or whatever.
Exactly. 100%, right? So we fixed the chrono balls, everything's fine, all universes are restored, Adam West goes home, Christopher Reeves goes home, George Reeves goes home, everything goes back to normal, bye-bye Nick Cage.
And so Nathan, the metaphor of the movie, right? It's about moving on from your grief, and you can't live in the past.
I wonder if these two movies were about letting go, and that was all James Gunn's directive to say, get lost DCU fans, let go.
Right, so this is a very, there's other stories like this with time travel where you have to realize that, like, you can't go back and change things. Things are the way they are. You have to move on and accept that. And that's the moral of the movie, right, Nathan?
Sure.
So what does Barry do after that? When he's moved on from his mum, he's given her a hug, and he's accepted that she's dead and he has to move on. What does he do after that?
He he puts the tomatoes on the top shelf.
Why, Nathan? So that his dad will see he'll look up at the camera and his dad will be exonerated, right?
Yeah, so that his dad
Nathan,
has to look higher up.
Does that not ruin the entire point of the movie?
Because surely committing that act would have also created a whole new timeline with the past changes.
Which it does. Which ruins the entire point of the movie.
Yeah, I suppose it does do exactly that. But the only thing it seemingly changes is who's Batman again?
Well, yes, and also in the post-credits, Aquaman doesn't know who he is, and it's like pre-Aquaman movie Aquaman.
No, he does know who he is, and he's saying, so in this other universe version of me, I'm basically the same and I'm unchanged. He goes, yeah, actually, you're pretty much the same as you are in the other reality.
Is it?
Yeah.
This seemed like a pre-Aquaman who's just like a drunk living,
he's like thanks Barry, and he's explaining him basically the plot of the Flash movie, and Barry says, yeah, no, you're basically unchanged.
I interpreted this as an Aquaman who hadn't met Barry before.
No, they have, because that's the joke when he falls down into the puddle. And he's like, I'm going to get you some more beers, whatever. He's like, give him this ring, tell him it's Atlantean gold. And he's like, yeah, you tell them that. And he's like, I've got a bed right here, and he just face plants into this because he's Atlantean. Yeah, no, that's all. He's just horrifically drunk. But yeah, no, that is supposed to be the same sort of character. The joke is, in this new reality, Jason Momoa is unchanged.
Okay, I guess. But yeah, so that's the end of the movie, and Barry didn't learn anything?
Hold on, Kyle. The lawyer of Barry Allen's dad is Donna Noble's husband.
Yes, very good. Yes.
I like that. It's fun. Good man. Good actor there. Just after the 60th
anniversary. He's putting on an American accent, I guess. Good for him.
Yeah, I mean, they filmed a lot of this in the UK, you know.
That's true. He probably just drove up to Glasgow for the weekend. Yeah. Yeah. So he's like, oh, everything's good. I got my dad out of prison by not learning anything and changing the timeline again because I didn't internalize the lessons of the movie.
You would have thought he would have walked out of the jail with his own father, who is now exonerated, instead of his dad.
I guess you don't immediately walk out of the jail, right? You have to go back and get your affairs in order and kind of check out from prison officially, I guess. Right? There's a whole system there.
I suppose so. Okay, fair enough.
So, like, he's still, like, in custody. He just has to be officially released and all that. That's fine.
I suppose, yeah. So he gets taken away. Barry comes outside.
Iris is still there, and Iris remembers all the things that happened in the other timeline, which I guess still happened.
Yep, she's like, hey, I enjoyed the beer. I've left a note on the beer and says next time maybe you could stay for one as well or something like that. Because she likes Barry for some god unknown reason.
Yes, because I guess they already knew each other from college, which was not clear in the Snyder Cut.
Even earlier in this movie, she's like, do I know you from somewhere? Like, it's unclear.
But they talk about it. It's like, yeah, we went to college together.
Oh, okay.
They had like that little exchange for some reason.
I suppose. And the 18-year-old young Barry Allen was maybe going to go on a date with her.
But yeah, so Bruce Wayne calls Barry on the phone and says congratulations, and it's clearly not Ben Affleck's voice, but I guess Barry can't tell that.
I think maybe he also thinks it might be Michael Keaton.
But surely that would freak him out as well.
Possibly, but at least that's a person he's now familiar with. I can't even tell who. I think it is George Clooney's voice, though.
Yeah, it's George Clooney's voice, yeah.
And he's like, I'm just pulling up now. And then, and you know what I love, right? So car comes pulling up and all the press come running over. It's Bruce Wayne.
Oh, I guess we just revealed it there. It's George Clooney, by the way.
Yeah, well.
In case you don't know.
He comes through the crowd and the camera cuts to like half speed. It's like, there's like a slow-mo explosion in the movie, like he walks through the crowd, like, here I am, and it's like a hero shot of a guy in a suit wearing sunglasses. And then it cuts to Ezra Miller saying, who the fuck is this? Which is supposed to, the audience go, ha ha ha, I am dad in the movie, ha 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 ha. I remember that bad film.
I know George Clooney, he's in those Oceans movies.
Yeah, I love the coffee he sells. And then he's like, you're not Batman. And I quite like George Clooney in a very, like, it feels like he's not even acting. He's like, what's wrong with you? What the hell's wrong with you? Why would you say that, Like, why out me like that? And he does, like, a smile for the cameras. Ha, 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 smile. And then,
Why? Nathan, why?
The last shot of this movie, Kyle, of the DCEU at this point, because we didn't know about Blue Beetle when Aquaman's release date, is Ezra Miller's tooth falling out. There's that setup and payoff.
It's like some kind of night. You'd imagine he'd wake up and this would be a dream sequence. It's so surreal.
And the tooth falling out is so fake as well. Like you always feel that you can see it bounce off something.
It's like a After Effects effect that someone did in 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So why did George Clooney do this? Fun cameo. He probably get paid quite a bit for it.
I know why George Clooney did this. I'm asking why the movie did this.
Is a fun bit piece.
Because at least if it was Michael Keaton and Sasha Calle, that would be like, okay, those characters are safe again. We've resolved. They didn't die in that battlefield, right? That's something that's kind of a happy ending or something, maybe.
Yeah, there's a resolution to those characters.
There's a resolution there. Having it be George Clooney just means nothing.
Yeah, I think that's the point. Like, this universe is over. We don't care.
That's a good ending to your movie, isn't it? We didn't care about any of this.
Yeah, and I can't defend it. I have no logical rhyme or reason to defend this. What a mess this film becomes near the end, right? I think the first half of it is better than the second half, at least in terms of its goals. I just think it falls flat when it tries to resolve anything. I get a laugh out of it. I think I love seeing George Clooney do it, like crazy, because George Clooney always talks about how much he hates this movie. Batman Robin, he apologises when he's at conventions and such for it. Like he says that he thought he killed the franchise until Christopher Nolan brought it back. Considering how versatile Batman is back in the 90s, people really didn't have that view on Batman. He was strict, he was edgy. The Michael Keaton version of Batman was so cemented in the 90s that the Happy Meal plastic version was thought of as less
back
than
credit card and all that.
Yeah, back credit cards, exactly. And then Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan done what they done. But for him to do this, I mean, great. You know what? Bring him back, suit him up, because your dad's going to come out of the cinema, Kel, and he's going to think, All right, so Nicolas Cage is a Superman going forward and George Clooney's our Batman. Interesting. Okay, we're doing that.
I love your Scottish dad phrase.
It's like a happy innocence, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love the movies.
Yeah, I like this. This will be fun. So he comes and goes, it was alright. I don't really think I care to see The Flash again, but George Clooney and Nicolas Cage, Batman and Superman. Let's give that a go.
Was that Glasgow they were filming in?
Yeah, was that Glasgow? Yeah, I think that actually might have been Glasgow. So, because in Batman and Robin, George Clooney has a crucial line where he says to Robin, "This is why Superman works alone."
Yes,
because he can't be arsed with Robin's bullshit. So in the continuity, we're back in we're in the Joel Schumacher, George Clooney verse. If you don't connect them to the Keaton films, which maybe this film doesn't, maybe Andy Muschietti doesn't see that. We're now in the Batman Robin timeline, and in the Batman Robin timeline, where he name drops Superman, but we don't know who plays him because he doesn't show up in that movie.
Well, it was implied to be like the Christopher Reeves Batman, right?
No,
am I getting my Reeves mixed up?
Christopher Reeves is the 1970s Superman. Yeah,
It was they were referencing that Superman, weren't they?
Yeah, possibly. But now, Kyle, when your dad comes out the cinema, he's going to be thinking, "Oh right, it's Nick Cage," because that came out at the same time that Nicolas Cage was doing his screen tests.
Right. Okay.
So that's what that all is, right? So we are now in the George Clooney verse. That's what we're in, Kyle.
Yep. Barry's stranded in the Clooneyverse unless he lets his dad stay in prison.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is Mr. Freeze. Great. Bane has been dealt with in this world. Poison Ivy. It's a real Rogues Gallery universe that we're in.
You know, instead of making your dad look up, why don't you look to see who murdered your mum, and then in the future you can go find that guy?
Well, maybe. Why? What would the benefit be of doing that, Kyle?
To get your dad out of prison by finding the real murderer.
Oh, but then how'd you prove it?
You doctor some evidence.
Doctor some evidence.
That's basically the same as what he did.
Oh, no, he just altered the circumstances so that the evidence could speak for itself. Making his dad's head move a couple extra degrees by changing the tomato placement.
We've talked about it so long, I just cannot believe this is how the movie ends. It's so stupid.
Oh, I honestly, I'm beyond caring now. I think that's like, I'm resigned from like a franchise perspective, not just an individual film perspective. Because again, the real ending with Keaton and Sasha Calle Supergirl and all that coming together is much more fitting for a future of the DCEU Walter Hamada angle.
Even just for the end of this movie, it makes more sense.
Oh no, yeah, it would, right? But that's better for everything. But from I'm James Gunn, and we're just going to give a little cheap laugh fanfare. End of the thing. We're writing this movie. We're not literally writing it off. That's what they would do to Supergirl later on. But we are we're rebooting. Who cares? Fine, whatever. I remember it kind of leaked that they were adding a new Batman to this movie, Kyle, before the film came out, but after James Gunn had been announced to be taking over. And some critics put out a poll because there was speculation who it would be, and it was either Christian Bale, George Clooney, and there was, I think it might have been Kevin Conroy and another one, I can't remember. It wasn't Val Kilmer. And everyone said, there's no way it's George Clooney. You got more chance of being Christian Bale. People thought maybe Christian Bale would do a bit at the end of this. And
Kevin Conroy would definitely do it.
Kevin Conroy would definitely do it. And I thought there's no way on earth that George Clooney would do it. I thought the more chance you would get Christian Bale. Christian Bale. I really thought
he'd just been in Thor, so he's not above doing superhero movies.
He's not above it. He said he would only ever do like Batman properly again if Christopher Nolan's up for it, but they both kind of say, well, we have no ideas, why would we do it? But it's a little bit piece to this level that George Clooney done. I could see more likely it being Christian Bale. So when George Clooney showed up, I was like, what the hell? Like, it's a funny talking. It gets people talking. And I think, see, if you're doing this to get people talking, was they come out the cinema to get the word of mouth on Twitter to people to go see the movie. It's a cheap trick. It's a very cheap trick. But I think it's probably effective because even when I watched it last night, I was like, this is insane. I want to tweet about this. I didn't. But back at the time, I could, that was, a lot of people spoke about it because it was insane. So, sort of as the film becomes older and it becomes like a home release product and not a commercially in the cinema product, that choice feels more jarring. But when your business is putting it to the theaters, you want to get eyes on it and chat on it. It's a cheap trick, but it's a trick, you know.
And that's how you want to end your cinematic universe, with a trick.
With a trick, yeah. Not with a bang, but with a trick, yeah. I mean, and as we know, Kyle, because we've still got some episodes left to do on this show, this wasn't the end, but in this film's inception and in its production phase, this was thought to be the end. As I've referenced earlier on, they had to change.
Absolutely insane.
They had to change the cameos for Aquaman, for Batman. They ended up using neither of them. And Batgirl ended up being cancelled, but we've still got...
Well, this movie was in production for like 13 years or something,
It went through
right?
a lot of different directors. The Lego movie people were supposed to do it. The people that got fired from the Han Solo movie, the ones that would...
Lord and Miller. Yeah.
They were attached to this. So many people were. Andy Muschietti got this because he done the It reboot movies for Warner Brothers to great success.
Yeah, very similar movies. Another horror guy. Yeah.
He also done it because one thing I forgot to mention, just a bit piece. There's a Jamie Lannister cameo in this with the Flash.
Yes, I've heard. I didn't catch him, but I didn't know he's in it.
It's when he's running through the Speed Force, and it's a fun bit because he and Andy Muschietti work together quite a bit, and it's a fun kind of like, hey, I'm in all your projects, here's how you're going to get me into this one, you know, because they worked in a horror movie called Mama together about 10 years ago or more now. That was quite a good horror movie for its time. And then at the end is Barry's late for court and he runs through a guy and steals a hot dog off a photographer. That's Andy Muschietti.
Oh, lovely. Little director cameo,
which we saw in Shazam as well, when he gets picked up by a demon. That was David F. Sandberg.
Well, and also Mr. Mind.
And Mr. Mind, yes. So, that's us, Kyle.
Somehow this became one of our longest episodes.
I think it's a really loaded film, to be honest.
It's, loaded with shite. Yep. Okay, well. Nathan, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me, as always, at Nathan Tinney, anywhere online. You'll find me in Kel's comment sections as well, on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Mastodon, literally anywhere. That's where I'll be. I also run our Twitter account at Enter the DCEU. You can go follow us over there. Kel, where can they find you?
People can, of course, find me at Kyle the Scott on YouTube, where I do video essays, and sometimes I just talk about things, which I've been doing. I've been experimenting with that recently, so we'll see how that goes.
You sound really depressed, Kyle. Has this film done you?
I'm tired, Nathan. We just talked about The Flash for almost 2 hours. I'm tired.
What are we watching next week, Kyle?
Next week, we are, of course, watching Blue Beetle.
I think you'll like this.
I hope it'll be a breath of fresh air, because we've been a real rut this past month, Nathan, and I could do with a little pick me up.
All I ask is when you watch it, you keep in mind that this movie was made for streaming, and then they sort of went back and put more money into it to make it feel like it should have existed in the cinema.
Right. Okay.
That's all I ask.
I will keep that in mind. So thank you for listening, everyone, and we will be here next time to talk about Blue Beetle.